always want to have confidence in your guys, but is there a part of you when Jamarco Jones is going in at right guard and having only had a couple weeks of practice there and thinking, man, I hope this works out okay?
You really, honestly, you don't have time to think about it. I mean, you just kind of react on the spot. You know, we literally found out like right before we were supposed to go out. And but when you watch the film, he did an amazing job. I mean, he really did. He it just shows you these guys. I mean, they work, they prepare. He's bounced back so well from last year, missing the whole year and just prepping. And I can't remember last time he played guard when that was. I mean, so for him to step in and do that and going up against that front, that was pretty cool to see. But you really, in the moment, you don't really have time to think about it. You're thinking about different situations and stuff like that. But it was cool to see him respond.
Some of the early protection issues in that game, what do you chalk that up to?
I mean, other than the fact that they're a really good front, I mean, they just, they were moving and doing some things. And when you've got Aaron Donald and Fowler on the same side and they're running some games and things like that, it just, we got overextended on a few things. But again, just, they're fast, they're quick, and they beat us with some simple games that we got corrected later.
Got a talented deep front upcoming again here.
Yeah.
Kind of what are some of the challenges that they present that might be different or unique compared to some of the other?
Each week's a little different. I mean, the two edge players are obviously a terrific player. And Myles Garrett, I mean, just his length, his ability to rush the passer. You can see why he's the #1 overall pick a couple years back. And, Vernon, I mean, just, plays extremely hard, really good assortment of moves, pass rush moves. We all know Sheldon here, obviously, and then myself from having played against him. And then, the nose, I mean, he's a really good player. So, but again, it's the NFL. So whether you're playing the Rams and you're getting ready for the Donald and the Fowler group and the Brockers, or this week you're getting ready for Garrett and Vernon and Richardson, each week is going to be a tough challenge, and that's why you love having a veteran group like we do. And we know there'll be challenges, and again, if there is protection issues early on, we're not going to panic. We'll work through them, and I think we've proven that these first couple games that when things happen, we'll work through it. We'll solve the problems, and it's a long game.
What do you think of Nick Chubb coming out last year, having coached him at Georgia?
Yeah, I loved him. Again, obviously when we were there, we were off to a great start, and then he goes down against Tennessee, and the season swung a little bit for us. But #1, unbelievable person, great leader, great work ethic. He's the guy that goes back home and trains in his high school's weight room rather than going and working in some of these fancy facilities. He's that type of young man. He's got unbelievable balance and strength when he runs. Just a terrific player. So love the young man. I mean, just for all the things that you see him battling back from that injury. It was a bad injury against Tennessee, whatever year it was, and to see him bounce back, I was not surprised by what he did last year and what he's doing this year. But great leverage player, really tough to bring down.
With his monster game against the Ravens, the Brown, I don't know if you saw, but the Browns had him mic'd up, and he scored like 3 touchdowns, and they kind of labeled it funny, like our resident trash talker. And the whole video, it's like 6 minutes long. He doesn't say a single word.
Yeah, you can see. Yeah, you can see by my laughter. It was pretty cool. We were getting ready to play. The end of the story is not quite as cool, but the story's cool. We were getting ready to play Alabama, and I kind of brought him up and challenged him a little bit about just taking that leadership role, and brought him in. Actually showed him a clip of when I was with the Jets and we were going into New England, and LaDainian Tomlinson calls up the group and makes an amazing pregame speech to the guys, and just seeing if I could get Nick to go do that. And he played great in the game, but I never really saw that. So it's just the way he's wired, and you know how serious he is about football by watching the way he plays the game, because he plays it the right way, and he's a great player and a great young man. So, but I don't think I don't know if they should wire him up next time. He's probably not going to give him a lot of good tidbits to throw out there.
Chris is coming off back-to-back 100-yard games, getting Penny involved a little bit. Just, do you feel like the running game is starting to get to where you want it to be?
I think so. We talked a couple weeks back. We were talking about the running game here, and it takes a little while, right? It just takes you a while to work on some of your combinations and things like that. Each week's a new challenge as well, but I'm pleased with how we're doing. I'm pleased with the way he's running. I'm pleased with, again, the way those guys blocked last week. Again, the receivers never get enough credit. for what they do, some of the things we do trying to get the ball on the perimeter. That's pretty cool. You watch a guy like Jerron Brown come down and pin a defensive end. I think it was Fowler in the game last week. We were kind of backed up coming out of our own end zone, and he came down and pinned Fowler. So it all works together. It's not just the runner. It's not just the line. The tight ends are involved, Dissly and Wilson. But again, Chris is running extremely hard, and we talked about him bouncing back. I think he's back.
With how hard he runs, is 25 touches and 45 snaps, whatever it is per game, is that sustainable over 16 games?
Again, I mean, you never know. I don't think we necessarily have to always use him that much. Again, it's more of just kind of you're watching the game unfold, and kind of like the average fan, you're watching, you see a guy that's running the way he's running, and you're not going to take the ball out of his hand in that regard. But we certainly don't feel like we have to do that each week. We have other guys that are capable. We have Rashad, we have CJ, we have Homer each week. So, but when he's playing the way he's playing, it's hard to take it out of his hand, and he was kind of feeling it the other night.
You mentioned, I think last week, when you go back and watch the tape sometimes of Russ, you're just kind of like, wow, it's pretty cool. Do you feel like that was this whole game? Several examples of that kind of thing where you look back and he's able to do those things you referenced that you can't coach?
Yeah. There was a simple little naked that we ran to the right where he went right, he spun back left, and I was screaming at him. And then he spun back right again, and he found Tyler on a little, there's Tyler, on a little scramble play. Wasn't designed that way. They don't always work out like that, which is why I scream. But that one did. But yeah, I mean, you're fascinated by the guy. I think the most fun I had with the game, though, when it was over, was the fact that he never saw Chris bobble the pass. If you watch it, it's a great clip. He never saw. You see the reaction. He was going to be the all-time. It'd be one of the greatest memes you've ever seen if he doesn't find a way to catch it. Because Russ is literally pointing to Luke Wilson on the sideline, and he's got some dance he's doing, and he had no idea that he kind of tipped it up, and hey, I'm gonna catch it, and so we've been teasing him about it, saying, man, you would have been a meme forever. So that was pretty cool to give him some trash about that. But he's an amazing player, playing really well right now.
What was your reaction?
It was truly in slow motion. It was kind of like, but Crit is amazing. What's amazing is most guys, when they do that, they panic. It's like Chris never panicked. He's like, he just tipped. He's like, oh, okay, I got this. And that was pretty cool. He had that confidence to do that. But it was in slow motion for me.
You certainly didn't panic.
No, I panic usually in between drives when I'm trying to figure out what the opponent's doing, But in that situation, again, fourth down, they played a coverage. They're trying to, we're trying to see if we get the ball front side. They took Dissly and Tyler away, and so he got over the backside. And anytime he breaks and gets out, people have to make a decision. And a couple guys went with DK, which makes sense.
Is Russell? It seems like when he gets sacked, he's not. Sometimes in years past, there's like the 20-yard loss for a sack kind of thing. It seems like he hasn't had any of that this year. I mean, is he sort of more disciplined, I guess, and knowing like not to spin back and go 10 yards?
I think he's more aware of it. Bob, I think he's more aware of, hey, look, we can't have the huge 15, 18, the Denver one flashes in my mind where he runs left and he spins back right and Von Miller's waiting for him. I think he's more aware. He knows how hard it is to overcome those. I mean, he's the guy that's got to overcome them. So, shoot, I don't want to put myself in that situation. You will see him throw some balls away. I mean, he had a play early in the game last week where we ran a little naked out to the right, and Fowler and Donald kind of sniffed it out, and he just kind of threw it away. And that shows maturity. It shows a guy that understands that, again, it's okay to throw an incompletion. But he's always competing. He's always going to look, can I get out of this or can I not? But we're always on him about that. So it's nice to see that he's bought into that. But it's a constant reminder because he does want to compete and he does want to try to find ways to make plays.
Is there a step that you want to see the offense still take forward? Like, is there one aspect that you're like, we think if we could get a little bit better doing X?
Yeah, I'm thrilled with a lot of things that we're doing. The red zone stuff, I'm thrilled with. I think third down is an area that we need to play better. Again, there's a lot of different factors that go into it, but that's something. Stay out of third down and long is part of it. But that's an area of emphasis. And then, of course, this week, these guys are top 5, I think, in the league on third down. So that'll be a good challenge for us. So that's what I would probably point to is the third down.
You
You guys have had some key, like, third and fourth and short sort of situations you haven't been able to pick up for one reason. Is that one of those?
Yeah,
areas?
of course. Yeah. We always look at them. We look at what we're doing. We look at why they didn't work, and just try to factor those in. And then as we look at it, we kind of game plan, say, okay, hey, let's move this around, let's do that. But we're always going to try to find a way to get the ball to our certain players in those situations. But not just those plays, but just in general. It gives you the ability to stay on the field. I mean, you convert those third downs. I mean, we're a momentum-based offense. I mean, we get some momentum going, and Russ wears people down, and the running game wears people down, and then the big plays happen. So those are important for us to have. I think last week, the cool thing we did is we had a 25 first downs and only 10 third downs. That's when you're really being pretty efficient offensively, and we did that last week, which is good. It's hard to convert third downs. I mean, it's a little bit where, if you're 45% or so, I mean, you're in the top 5 in the league, and it's hard against NFL defense to go out there and convert them all. So you want to limit how many you have.
What are the mechanics on fourth down? Like, that was the 4th and 1. I think you were at the one where you went for the field goal and Jason missed it. But are you looking at Pete? Hey, are we going for this? Does he ask you whether you want to go for it? Is there a conversation? Is it?
There's always great dialogue. I mean, and usually it happens before. I mean, you're working through the drive. We're kind of talking about, hey, look, hey, I'm thinking maybe 4-down territory. That affects us, what we're thinking. Because there's certain plays you're going to call if you're thinking, hey, I might have 2 downs here. And then there's usually communication. Hey, what are you thinking about going with? Hey, I'd go with this. Okay, well, hey, what do you think? And he's talking to other people, talking to Schneids, and figuring out the whole process. So it's really good communication. And then you make the best decision for what you think you want to do. And but again, he's great about giving me the heads up about, hey, Schotty, think 4 downs. That doesn't mean it's going to be 4 downs, but my thought process, it's a lot easier to call it that way as opposed to, hey, you don't hear anything, you call a play, and then it's like, okay, go for it. And you're like, whoa, really? Okay, all right. That's harder. He's great with that. He's always communicating well with it.
Long touchdown to Metcalf. You could see the way that Lockett's route affected the coverage. How much is he progresses as a receiver and his reputation grows, is he affecting the play when the ball's on?
Yeah, they tried to roll to him a bunch. If you go back and look at the clip, I mean, Talib had him inside leverage, man-to-man with help over the top, and he's really not supposed to let Tyler get inside. Tyler jumped around him, and he took both Johnson and Aqib out of the middle. And then Weddle was kind of cheating to DK's side, but he stepped down on the play pass action. He kind of got sucked up, and you can see Marcus Peters, looking for his safety, like, hey, where'd you go? And then, of course, we know DK's speed is just hard to handle. But, again, Tyler can affect the game so many ways. Again, it's simple fly sweeps and stuff, where just the fake of giving it to him running a little underneath route where people pin down, you throw the ball back in behind him. That's a good example. So I think you guys all know how I feel about him.
The last third down, the pitch to Tyler, just the play they played really well, or?
Yeah. I mean, we ran the play before, and it's just one of those situations where those guys have the chance to read it. It's 2 guys we trust. I mean, I trust Russ and Tyler. And then they came with everything they had. I mean, they brought everybody. And the way it played out is the read was right because the guy came ripping off the edge, and then it was the guy chasing Tyler that showed up at first, and give them credit. That was one that when he pitched it, I was a little bit like, oh, no. But, again, you trust those guys. I mean, you trust Russ. He's going to make the right decision. And when he flips it to Tyler, I mean, although you lose your breath for a second, you're kind of like, but, again, Tyler wasn't going to let that ball get anywhere. So, again, it's one of those things where it's not what we hoped happened, but when it does happen, you're kind of like, okay, we found a way to win the game, and we ended up with the ball. So, again, kudos to them. They made a great play defensively.
Did you watch the final kick? Did you turn away?
No, I always watch it. Yeah, I always watch it. Yeah. Been around Greg. He's a great kicker. Kind of glad it worked out the way it did, though.
You described the challenges on third down. A lot of people describe those same challenges in the red zone. You guys have had pretty good success this year. Kind of what do you think is the key for?
I think running the ball. I mean, the way we run the ball down there, it makes people have to load up to stop the run. That's a big part of it. Because we're used to running against heavy boxes, 7, 8, even 9-man fronts. So that's probably the starting point, is the way we can run the football. And then, of course, it's Russ's ability to make plays. Some are designed, some aren't. But just the danger, I mean, and that's the way the game is being played now. I mean, you see it's all these athletic quarterbacks, I mean, you go around the league, and it's the run-pass threat of when they're moved off the spot. It's just you got to pick your poison. Do I want to come up and make him a passer, If you do that, normally somebody's coming open on the back end. But it starts with the running game, and then again, I think his ability to make plays. And we started back in the spring. You know, we said we want to be the best scramble team in the world, and that's going to be the goal always, just because of the passer that we have. And I think the guys, Disley. The great example is Disley early in the game, right? Russ gets kind of flushed out and Dis turns up and finds a big hole. So that's something that we work on a bunch, and it's the second part of every play. We call it passing game. The second part of every play is the scramble part.
On the penny play, kind of slow motion. Like he said, he was supposed to run a 6-yard in and went vertical, but he still looked like he was kind of half speed. The corner looked like he was kind of half speed. Then all of a sudden, the ball's on him.
Yeah, so he was going to run an in route, a little dig route, we kind of call it, and Talib was kind of sitting there. Sometimes that happens when it's a really good corner playing against the back. They kind of say, hey, I'm not gonna get out of here. And then again, he felt Russ kind of move, and so Rashad just turned up deep, and Russ made a great throw. And again, that's when you have guys that can do that. Here's a really good running back that can make plays like that for you. But it's just off script. Russ breaks. He knows, okay, hey, Russ wants me to find a spot. The guy's low, so I go high, and really good throw and catch.
You said the second part of the play, as in, like, that's actually called, like, hey, if it breaks down, then do this?
Absolutely, yeah. You have to teach it that way. With a guy like Russ, you have to teach it that way, that, hey, the progressions aren't going to come off always the way you want them to, so if that play doesn't work, then the second part of every play would be him potentially scrambling. And it's not always outside the pocket. Sometimes it's him running. It's him taking off north and south. But we literally call it second part of every play would be the scramble. And, again, we want to be the best scramble team in the world.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Good. Thanks, guys.